The summer sun hung high in the cloudless sky, its golden rays filtering through the treetops, casting shimmering patterns along the rugged dirt road. My sleek SUV rolled forward at a steady pace, kicking up a faint trail of dust behind it. Behind the wheel line, Nathaniel Carter, a powerful CEO in the finance world, was certain I had chosen the perfect summer camp for my daughter. With the price I had paid, Lily was guaranteed a luxurious summer retreat, heated pools, gourmet dining, plush, bedding, everything a privileged child could possibly need. I stole a glance at Lily, my 12-year-old daughter, her soft brown curls bouncing as she pressed her face to the window, eyes wide with excitement. "You're going to love it here," I said confidently. "I picked one of the best camps." Lily simply smiled. She didn't care about what her father considered the best, as long as it meant escaping formal banquets and exhausting extracurricular schedules. But as the SUV rounded the final bend, my expression darkened. This was not a luxury resort. Instead of an upscale retreat, a wilderness camp stretched before us, nestled deep within towering trees. Wooden cabins, open fire pits, ropes dangling from climbing courses. Children with faces smudged with dirt ran around, hollering by the cliffs, while others tied logs together to make rafts. No pools, no fine dining, no silk sheets. I frowned, double-checking the reservation email. A sinking feeling curled in my gut. This couldn't be happening, Lily, however, was delighted. "Dad, is this a survival camp? This is amazing," she gasped. I blinked. What? Before I could react, Lily threw open the car door and hopped out, eyes gleaming. "Look, they're learning how to start a fire and climbing rocks. Can I try?" I was too stunned to respond. I stormed toward the camp's main office, a small log cabin with a slightly crooked door. I pushed it open without hesitation, my voice sharp with authority. "I need to speak with the person in charge." From behind the registration desk, Olivia Bennett looked up, mid-30s, long brown hair, pulled into a loose ponytail, car keys rolled up sleeves. She was nothing like the polished concierge staff I was used to dealing with. "You're speaking to her," Olivia replied smoothly. I blinked, then straightened, regaining my composure. "There's been a mistake. I signed my daughter up for an elite summer camp, and this," I gestured toward the wilderness outside, "is not what I paid for." Olivia flipped through the registration list and nodded. "No mistake, Mr. Carter. You signed up for the right camp." "That's impossible. I paid for luxury accommodations, high-end facilities." "Check again." A small, knowing smile touched Olivia's lips. "Oh, you paid. You just didn't read the fine print." I stiffened, a slow, simmering irritation built inside me. This couldn't be happening. Turning to Lily, expected her to be horrified just as I was. But instead, she had already joined the other kids, crouched over a log, carving her name into the wood with a small knife. Her smile was radiant. I couldn't believe it. "Lily, get in the car. We're leaving." Lily looked up, her expression firm. "Are you serious? I love it here." I shook my head. "No, there are no amenities, no proper beds, no decent food." Lily crossed her arms. "You always make the choices for me." "Dad, but this time I want to choose." I froze. Lily had never stood up to me like this before. I turned back to Olivia, expecting her to step in, but she merely smiled. "Sorry, but camp policy states that once a child is registered, they must complete the full session. No exceptions." My eyes narrowed. "That's ridiculous." Olivia shrugged. "Or maybe it's a survival lesson, not just for the kids, but for certain parents too. I clenched my jaw, seething. I looked at Lily, unwavering. For a man who always had a plan. ND. I realized I had no escape plan this time. Lily had made her choice, and now I was stuck in this damn camp too. The midday sun filtered through the trees, casting scattered patches of light and shadow across the camp. The air buzzed with bird song and rustling leaves mingling with the distant laughter of children. But to me, Nathaniel Carter, it was all just white noise, fueling my growing frustration. I stood near my car, gripping my useless phone. No signal, no internet, no assistant, no escape. It was enough to drive me insane. I stormed toward the camp office where Olivia Bennett was calmly checking her roster. I need to talk now. My voice was sharp, unwavering. Olivia didn't look up, merely marking something on her clipboard. You want to leave? I crossed my arms, my tone cutting. Not just me, my daughter too. This time Olivia met my gaze, calm, unreadable, infuriatingly composed. You can leave, Lily stays. I stilled. What did you just say? Olivia slid a document toward me. Camp policy, she said evenly. Once registered children are required to complete the program unless there's a medical emergency. I scanned the page. Every word confirmed what she had just said. I clenched my jaw. A damn trap. I had trusted my assistant to handle the details and hadn't read the fine print myself. Outside, Lily laughed, fully immersed in building a tent with her new friends, her face glowing with excitement. My frustration boiled over. I called her over. Lily, don't you see there are no soft beds here? No air conditioning, no proper meals. We're leaving. But Lily didn't flinch. You've never let me do something like this before. She said simply, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You don't need this, I snapped. I planned everything for you, programs designed to help you succeed. Lily crossed her arms, her voice firm. But I want to figure things out on my own. She was defying me, Mom, and my hands curled into fists at my sides. Lily, you have no idea how harsh the real world is. Before Lily could answer, Olivia spoke up, Mr. Carter. She said, her voice calm but unwavering. I think you're the one who doesn't understand. I turned sharply. Excuse me. Olivia gestured toward Lily. She doesn't need luxury to succeed. She needs independence. You can't protect her forever. Her words hit like a punch to the gut. You think I don't know how to raise my own child? Olivia shrugged. I think you're forcing her into the life you want instead of letting her find her own. My jaw locked. For the first time in years, someone was telling me to my face that I was wrong. Lily held up my gaze, her voice quieter this time but no less firm. Dad, I don't want to be like you. I felt the ground shift beneath me, a mix of helplessness, anger, and something deeper. Something terrifying rose in my chest. Without another word, I turned away. For the first time in my life, I didn't know what to do. Lily watched me go, her expression unreadable except for the small, unmistakable flicker of disappointment. 3 days at camp had been anything but easy for me. I had done my best to avoid the activities Olivia arranged, burying myself in work whenever possible. But this place had no cell service, no Wi-Fi, and certainly no conference rooms to escape to. Most of the time, I simply stood on the sidelines, arms crossed, silently criticizing everything I deemed inefficient or unprofessional. But Lily was different. She thrived here. I watched unsettled as my daughter climbed ropes without fear, started fires with nothing but stone, laughed when she got covered in mud. She was alive in a way I had never seen before. I didn't understand it, but I knew with every passing hour I was losing control, and then Olivia forced me to act. The challenge on the third afternoon near the lake, Olivia gathered all the parents and children together. A wooden sign was propped up at the front. The words written in bold, Family Bonding Challenge, winning team gets a prize. I stood at the back of the crowd, arms folded, zero intention of participating. But Olivia, sharp-eyed, relentless. Olivia wasn't about to let that happen. Mr. Carter, she called out, making every pair of eyes turn to him. I have noticed you haven't participated in a single activity with Lily. Today's a good opportunity. I frowned. I don't think I'm the kind of person suited for this. Olivia smirked, crossing her arms. You don't have to be. You just have to be a father. A few parents chuckled softly. I clenched my jaw. Was she challenging me in front of everyone? Lily tugged at my sleeve. Dad, come on, just this once. I scanned the expectant faces around me. I couldn't say no, fine. I muttered, but don't expect much. The disaster begins. The challenge was simple. Climb a wooden wall, wade through a mud pit, pitch a tent in the shortest time possible. Each team consisted of one parent and one child. Lily was buzzing with excitement. I was already regretting this, and from the very start, I was the problem. At the wooden wall, I barked instructions at Lily instead of working with her, slowing them down. At the mud pit, I complained about the dirt while Lily breezed through it, giggling. At the tent challenge, I took over, entirely insisting my way was right, only to mess up completely, setting them far behind the other teams. Tension thickened. Dad, let me do it my way, Lily snapped, frustration flashing in her eyes. I gritted my teeth. Lily, you don't understand. If you don't do it the right way, you'll fail. Lily's hands clenched into fists, her face suddenly devoid of all excitement. You don't trust me at all. The words hit harder than they should have. Lily turned away, finishing the task without me. The moment everything changed, an uncomfortable silence followed. The other teams had finished. Parents stood nearby watching, and Olivia, arms crossed, gaze unreadable, stepped forward. You don't have to be a CEO here, Nathaniel. I looked up, my expression dark. She held my gaze unwavering. You just have to be a father. And for the first time in my life, Nathaniel Carter felt like a failure. Not in a billion-dollar business deal, not in a boardroom negotiation, but with his own daughter. And the worst part, I had no idea how to fix it. Lily wasn't looking at me with hope anymore. She had stopped expecting anything from me at all. The night sky stretched over the forest like a vast, endless shadow, broken only by the flickering glow of stars and the dim light of the campfire. The air was cooler than during the day, carrying the distant hum of insects and the faint scent of burning wood. It was day 4 at camp, the hardest challenge yet, the survival test. I stood in the clearing, arms crossed, surrounded by teams of parents and children gathering for the challenge. The weight of my previous failure still pressed heavily on me. Lily, however, was unbothered. For 2 days now, she had continued laughing, learning, living, but she barely spoke to me. And now I was about to face my most painful defeat yet. Tonight's survival test will focus on 3 key skills: fire making, shelter building, and water sourcing. Olivia announced to the group, her voice clear and confident. Each team has 2 hours to complete their tasks. The best performing group earns a special breakfast tomorrow morning. Some of the kids cheered excitedly, while most parents, especially ones like me, looked considerably less enthusiastic. I had never built a tent, Never started a fire, never searched for water in the wilderness. Those were tasks I paid other people to do. Lily, however, rushed to join her group, eager and confident. I stood there completely out of my depth, and soon everything spun out of my control, fire making. I struggled with the flint while Lily and the other kids had a small fire burning within minutes. Tent building. I fumbled with the poles and tarp only for the structure to collapse repeatedly. Lily tried to help but eventually did it on her own. Water sourcing, I had no idea where to start while the kids had already tracked down a safe water source. I stood there frustrated and lost, feeling completely useless. But the worst part wasn't my own failure. It was Lily's eyes. She no longer looked at me with admiration. She no longer needed me. Left behind. By the time the challenge ended, the other teams sat around the fire laughing and sharing stories. I felt like I had just lost a battle I didn't even understand. I turned toward Lily, ready to say something, anything. Lily, my voice was quiet, almost hesitant. She didn't look up. Instead, she focused on neatly packing up her gear as if I wasn't even there. I exhaled, sitting beside her. I know I'm not good at this, but you didn't even try. Lily interrupted, her tone cool. I stilled. I did try. No, you didn't, she said, simply shaking her head. You just stood there confused, waiting for someone else to fix everything. There was no anger in her voice, just disappointment. I felt the sting of it like a sharp blade to my pride. Lily grabbed her backpack, slung it over her shoulder, and walked away without looking back. For the first time in my life, I realized my daughter no longer needed me. And that was the most terrifying thing of all. A truth I couldn't ignore. A shadow approached Olivia. She stood with arms crossed, eyes sharp, not mocking, but unforgivingly honest. You're losing her, she said, her voice quiet but firm, and you don't even see it. I inhaled sharply, my jaw tightening, but I didn't argue, because deep down I knew she was right. The early morning lake lay still, smooth as glass, reflecting the cloudless sky above. The crisp air carried the soft trill of birdsong, mingling with the scent of damp earth and morning dew. Everything felt peaceful, but inside me, Nathaniel Carter, it was nothing short of chaos. I sat on a fallen log near the water's edge, a cup of coffee in hand, though I hadn't taken a sip. My gaze was locked onto Lily, watching her every movement like a knife twisting deeper into my chest. She no longer looked for me. Once I had been the center of my daughter's world, the person she sought approval from, the one she longed to impress. Now she barely acknowledged my presence. She laughed freely, clapping a friend on the back as they pulled in a fishing net together. She warmed her hands over a crackling fire with her group, her face alight with joy. Without me, not once did she glance my way. A strange, unsettling fear crept into my chest. I wasn't a man easily shaken, but seeing my daughter happier without me, that terrified me. A simple choice. A quiet presence approached Olivia. She said nothing at first, just held out a fresh cup of coffee. I took it, the warmth seeping into my fingers, but it couldn't chase away the cold weight in my heart. You can't change the past, Olivia said finally, her voice soft but firm. But you can decide what to do from here. I stiffened. I knew exactly what she meant. This wasn't about summer camp. It wasn't about survival tests. It was about Lily. I had two choices. Let things continue as they were, remaining the distant, absent father I had always been, or I could change. For the first time, I was truly afraid of losing my daughter. My voice came out quiet, unsteady. What do I do now? Olivia studied me for a moment before standing. Come with me. A lesson in fire as she led me to a clearing where a small group of parents had gathered, learning survival skills from scratch. I had never felt so incompetent in my life, but standing among other fathers who were willing to learn suddenly felt very, very small. Olivia handed me a flint and a bundle of dry wood. Start with something simple. I stared at the tools in my hands, an almost bitter thought flickering in my mind. I could run a billion-dollar company, but I couldn't even start a fire. Gritting my teeth, I struck the flint. Nothing again. Still nothing. A third time, not even a spark. Frustration burned in my gut. I glanced at Olivia, half expecting her to step in, but she didn't. She just waited. I took a breath slower this time, more focused. The fourth strike, a small ember. The fifth, a thread of smoke. The sixth, a tiny flicker of flame. I stared, almost disbelieving. For the first time in my life, I had created something with my own hands, the truth I couldn't ignore. Later, after the training session, I sat down to catch my breath, sweat trickling down my temple. Olivia tossed me a bottle of water and took a seat beside me. "Not bad," she said with a small smirk. I let out a quiet chuckle, shaking my head. I never thought I'd feel proud over something as simple as starting a fire. Olivia smiled. Sometimes the smallest things matter the most. A silence stretched between us. Then for the first time, I admitted something out loud. I missed so much with Lily. Olivia met my gaze, her expression unwavering. She doesn't need a perfect father, Nathaniel. She just needs you to show up. I didn't argue because for the first time I understood she was right. Thunder rumbled across the sky. Lightning slashed through the dense night. The storm crashed over the forest with violent winds tearing through the treetops, sending broken branches tumbling onto the damp earth. The golden glow of the campfires flickered and faded beneath the relentless downpour, swallowed by the blackness of the storm. I froze, my entire body turning cold at the frantic voice of a parent. "Two kids haven't come back." For a second, the world stopped and sudden panic erupted. I felt my chest tighten, my breath catch. Lily. Lily was out there alone in the darkness under the freezing rain. Terror unlike anything I had ever known coursed through my veins. Not the fear of a CEO losing control, but the sheer all-consuming fear of a father who might lose his child forever. Before dread could fully consume me, I moved. I lunged forward, my voice cutting through the chaos. "We have to find them now." A father's instinct. Olivia immediately began organizing search groups, but this time I didn't wait for orders. I grabbed a flashlight, my grip tight, unyielding. "I'm leading a group north." I declared, my voice no longer that of a man in panic, but of a father ready to do whatever it took. No one questioned me, no one doubted me. For the first time, I was the one leading. Into the storm, I plunged into the forest rain, slamming against my skin, the wind howling through the trees. Olivia's lessons echoed in my mind. Watch for tracks. Listen for even the smallest sounds. Look for anything out of place. Things I had once dismissed as useless. Now they were the only things that could bring Lily back to me. My beam of light swept across the ground, small footprints embedded in the mud leading toward a sloping path. I didn't hesitate. I ran. The storm roared around me, branches snapping in the wind, and then a faint cry. My heart stopped the moment I found her. I raced forward, my flashlight cutting through the darkness, and there she was. Lily was kneeling beside a fallen tree, desperately trying to support a boy who clutched his ankle in pain. She was soaked to the bone, shivering, her breath uneven, but her eyes blazed with fierce determination. I fell to my knees beside her, reaching out. I'm here. My voice was steady, firm, unshakable. Lily's wide, wet eyes met mine. She sucked in a breath. You took too long. I felt something break inside me because she was right. I had missed too much before, missed birthdays, missed school plays, missed every chance to truly understand my daughter. But not this time, never again. Without a word, I shrugged off my jacket, wrapping it around Lily's trembling frame. Then I knelt and lifted the injured boy onto my back. We're going home. Lily hesitated just for a second before she nodded and followed. I wasn't just watching from a distance anymore. This time I was with her. A father's promise. When they returned to camp, relief rippled through the crowd. Parents murmured praises. Some even clapped as they saw me emerge carrying the injured child while Lily walked beside him, safe. At the front of the group, Olivia stood waiting. Her eyes met mine. For the first time, she didn't look at me with skepticism, but with respect. I turned to Lily. She studied me for a long moment. Then suddenly she threw her arms around me. My breath hitched. For a moment, I was too stunned to react. Then slowly I wrapped my arms around her and held her tight, truly feeling my daughter in my arms for the first time in years. You came, Lily whispered. I pressed a kiss to the top of her damp hair, my voice low but certain. I will always come. From the sidelines, Olivia smiled. Not in challenge, not in doubt, but in pride. Nathaniel Carter was no longer just a CEO. He was finally a father. The sky stretched endlessly, a brilliant shade of blue, as warm rays of sunlight bathed the camp in a golden glow. A soft breeze rustled the tents, carrying with it the crisp scent of summer and sending a few golden leaves tumbling to the ground. But today the camp felt different. No more hammering stakes into the earth. No more children shouting through survival challenges. No more debates between parents and camp staff. Instead, there was a quiet sense of farewell, a changed perspective. I stood in the middle of the camp surveying my surroundings. Everything looked the same, yet somehow it all felt different. Or maybe I was the one who had changed. I no longer saw this place as dirty, rough, or lacking in luxury. All I saw was a world I had once ignored. As Olivia approached, arms crossed, her sharp gaze assessing me, I already knew the question she was about to ask. So do you still think this camp isn't high-end enough? She teased, one brow arched. I inhaled deeply, my eyes sweeping across the camp, children laughing, voices blending into the wind. Faces that had once been strangers now felt oddly familiar. For the first time, I wasn't looking at this place as a businessman. I was looking at it as a father. A small smile played on my lips as I turned to Olivia, my voice steady, certain. I think this might be one of my best investments. Laughter rippled through the camp, not mocking, not condescending, just genuine amusement, and maybe just a little respect. I chuckled too this time. There was no forced politeness, no restrained pride, just a rare, genuine sense of ease. Olivia studied me for a moment, then smiled. No more rivalry, no more skepticism, just acknowledgement. Lily's moment. The loudspeaker crackled, calling everyone to gather one last time. Campers and parents quickly assembled in front of the small outdoor stage. Olivia stepped up, microphone in hand, her gaze sweeping across the crowd before she spoke. These past few days, I've watched these kids push past their limits. She said, her voice strong and clear. They've learned independence, teamwork, and most importantly, she paused, her eyes flickering briefly to me. They've learned that no challenge is impossible to overcome. A wave of applause spread through the crowd. But it's not just the kids who have learned valuable lessons. Olivia continued. Some of our parents have been on an incredible journey of growth too. Her gaze landed on me. I felt it, and for the first time I didn't feel defensive because I knew exactly what she meant. Then Olivia smiled. And now I'd like to invite a special camper to the stage, Lily Carter. A cheer erupted from the crowd. I turned sharply, my chest tightening. Lily's eyes widened in surprise. For a second, she hesitated. But as the applause grew, she straightened, smiled, and stepped forward. I couldn't look away. Lily's words. Lily cleared her throat, scanning the faces before her. But when she spoke, her voice was strong, clearer, more confident than ever before. Before coming here, I thought I only needed the best schools, the best environment, the best life. She paused, searching the crowd, searching for me. My breath caught in my chest. But I learned something important, Lily continued. Sometimes the best things aren't the most expensive, the most comfortable, or the most impressive. She took a slow breath. I came here to learn how to be independent. My hands tightened into fists, my pulse pounding. But I also learned that having a father who truly loves me is more important than anything else. Hushed silence fell over the camp, and then thunderous applause. Lily stepped down from the stage, but she didn't return to her seat. She ran straight into my arms. I barely had time to react before she wrapped herself around me, holding on tight. Right there in front of everyone. For a moment, I simply stood there, stunned. Then slowly, I wrapped my arms around her, holding her just as tightly. My hand rested on her back, the other gently cradling the back of her head. And for the first time in years, I truly felt her. I'm proud of you, I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. Lily pulled back just enough to meet my eyes, her own shimmering with something pure, something unwavering. I'm proud of you too, Dad. The city lights flickered against the towering glass windows, casting streaks of gold and silver across the skyline below. Cars rushed past in a blur, their headlights stretching into glowing trails along the busy streets. Nathaniel Carter stepped into a high-end restaurant, one I had visited countless times before. But tonight I wasn't the same man who used to walk through these doors. Gone was the stiff, perfectly tailored suit. Gone was the cold, calculating stare, the one that had always seen the world as nothing more than a chessboard. Tonight I carried myself with a quiet confidence, an ease I had never felt before, like a man who had finally learned to move at a different rhythm. The unexpected answer. Across the grand dining table, a group of New York's top executives engaged in their usual conversations, discussing million-dollar deals, expansion strategies, and the endless pursuit of more. James Donovan, a powerful investor seated across from me, swirled his wine thoughtfully before speaking. Nathaniel, we've been discussing a promising opportunity in elite education. I know you've always believed in the best, the finest schools, the most exceptional programs. That's still your stance, isn't it? I leaned back slightly, running a finger along the rim of my glass before setting it down. I used to think success only came from the most expensive things. The air around the table shifted. The men seated there had known me for years too long to expect this answer. A slight smirk tugged at the corner of my lips. But lately I've realized true value isn't found there. The silence stretched a little longer. Some eyes were curious, some were skeptical. A lesson they didn't expect from the far end of the table. Ethan Coleman, a man who had once mocked me for being all work and no life, leaned forward. elbows resting lazily on the table. Sounds like he went on some kind of self-discovery retreat. A few soft chuckles rippled through the group, but I didn't react. Instead, I reached for my phone, scrolled for a moment, then placed it face up in the center of the table. The men leaned in. A photo. Lily, her face beaming with joy, her hands still streaked with dirt, standing beside a roaring campfire she had helped build. I looked up, my gaze steady, my voice calm but firm. Not exactly. I leaned back, clasping my hands together, and added smoothly, I just survived a very real lesson in survival, and trust me, I'm better at it than you'd think. Silence, no laughter, no sarcastic remarks. Just a room full of men who were beginning to realize that Nathaniel Carter sitting in front of them was no longer the man they once knew. A new beginning dinner ended. I stepped out onto the bustling New York sidewalk, inhaling deeply as the cool night air wrapped around me. For the first time in years, I didn't feel trapped in the city's relentless pace. My phone vibrated. A message from Olivia. Lily just told me about your camping trip last weekend. You're becoming quite the father. I exhaled a soft chuckle. My fingers hovered over the screen, ready to type a response, but I hesitated. I lifted my head, looking up at the towering skyline, watching as the streets pulsed with movement. For the first time in my life, Nathaniel Carter didn't feel the need to make an immediate decision. The message could wait. Not because he was too busy, but because this time he wanted to take a moment, because his journey was far from over. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Nathaniel Carter's story wasn't just about a summer camp. It was about change, connection, and love. Sometimes success isn't found in wealth or prestige. It's found in the moments we truly show up for the people who matter most. If you believe that everyone deserves a second chance to change, like to share this message. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another inspiring story. What do you think about this ending? Should Nathaniel text Olivia back? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.